Welcome to Colorado Craft. I'm Erin Hutton, certified Cicerone and assistant brewer at Colorado Plus.
I'm Bella Rage, alternative model and general beer lover. On this week's episode, we're highlighting Caution and Big Choice Brewing here at Colorado Plus. We'll also be interviewing one of the owners, Eugene.
Coming up this next week, starting on March 21st, going through the 29th, will be Colorado Craft Beer Week. March 22nd, on Saturday, will be the first ever collaboration festival. We're here with Danny and Betty from Caution and Andrea from Big Choice. Welcome to Colorado Plus, guys. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks.
And so what can you tell us about this collaboration beer that you're going to be releasing for Colorado Craft Beer Week?
So we actually met together with Nathaniel and Andrea from Big Choice over, I think it was like an early brunch, lunch.
With beer.
With a lot of beer involved, and we went through a few different ideas about what we wanted to showcase as our collaboration beer. And we came up with about 10.5, a little over 10.5% maple syrup breakfast porter.
Yep.
And
Super delicious. It has about 50 pounds of real maple syrup added to it, and we plan on serving it on nitro, which will give it kind of a very creamy, foamy, almost pancake kind of flavor as well. So we're excited about it.
That sounds really interesting, actually. So what is it, the 12% that you were talking about? Is that the level of alcohol content, or?
Yeah, it's about 10.5 to a little over 10.5%, and so that's the ABV, and so a very good breakfast beer that'll set you up for the day, I guess.
Nothing wrong with 10.5% in the morning.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Better than coffee.
So you recommend it with pancakes because the maple.
Oh, that's right.
Pour it
Pour it over it.
Pour it right
Pour it
over
over
the
the pancakes.
Don't get it in, whatever.
So is this the first collaboration that you've ever done with any kind of other brewery?
Oh, we've done other collaborations. This is our first with Caution. Betty and I wanted to kind of do a women-empowered beer that we were pretty proud of. This was one of my first beers that I've ever brewed, so I'm excited that we got to do it together. We've become pretty good friends along the way, and so it's cool.
Nice.
So the beers, because of the maple syrup, we decided to call it Ain't Your Mama's Breakfast Porter.
Yes.
And because of the women empowerment kind of themed beer, our logo is actually a pinup girl.
Yep.
With some pancake batter and a bowl. So if you see that logo, you know that is
That's
Ain't Your Mama's
ours.
Breakfast Porter.
Yes.
Fantastic. And you said it's going to be on nitro?
Yes.
Okay. And it was real maple syrup you guys used?
Real.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
100% real
How did
maple
that
syrup.
How did that work in the mash tun? Did it get sticky, or did you just add it to the boil?
We actually added it to the fermentation.
To fermentation?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
At the beginning or post fermentation?
Post. Yeah.
Cool.
It actually,
So it's
some
still got a lot
of it ended up on the floor because I decided I had to do it myself. So I got the bucket, I put all the containers of maple syrup into this big bucket, and of course I had to climb the ladder with this bucket. I was very kind of trying to balance the bucket and the ladder and me, and a little bit of it I christened our fermentation tank with some of that syrup. A little bit of it ended up on the
Dried
floor.
maple syrup is the way to scrape off.
No, it's not.
That would not be.
Did any of it get eaten up, or is it still kind of? Do you get a mouthfeel from the syrup in the beer a little bit?
I think a
Absolutely.
sweeter,
Sweeter.
Absolutely.
Sweeter,
A little more body.
A little bit of heat
Yeah.
because of the high alcohol. So
Definitely a ton of body just from syrup.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is this the first time that you've ever created a beer using maple syrup, or have you tried to?
For us, it is.
For us,
Okay.
it is too. Yep.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
I would have never thought to use something like that in beer.
We wanted to use bacon too. Betty wanted to do bacon,
I
which
did.
Bacon.
we thought would be good, but we didn't want to put too much into it, and we wanted to get more out of it by keeping it a little more simple. So now we're just going to serve it with bacon.
Yep.
No.
stick of bacon in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
would you say
delicious.
that would be a good pairing then for if you were drinking this for maybe have some breakfast along with it?
Absolutely. That's why we're hoping when we tap it here at Colorado Plus, they'll have little breakfast items on their menu to serve it with. So come have breakfast for dinner and enjoy the porter with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an interesting mix.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. So what else is going on at Caution these days?
At Caution, so we just opened our second location in Lakewood a couple months back, and I guess our next step is we're going to start canning this summer. We just got a little 2-can manual from Wild Goose Canning up in Boulder, so we're very excited to start that whole process and get our beer up on shelves by the end of the year for sure.
Oh, okay. So this will actually be available in the supermarket
Yes.
aspect, or
Not so
or
much
special
supermarkets,
stores?
but yeah,
Selective
yeah.
beers. For one, we have the Lowell Lager, which we brought a little sample of today. It's a spiced Asian lager that was made in the boil with the spices from my parents' restaurant. My parents own a place called Lowell Noodle House, a little hole in the wall here in Denver. It's one of Denver's institutions for culinary delights. Apparently, it was actually featured on USA Today yesterday, along with our beers. But this particular beer is only available in the tap room and at their place. Although Colorado Plus did have a keg of it once.
Yeah, we did. We were fortunate enough to sneak one of those away from you guys.
I'm not sure how they even got it. Snuck into the cold room and hit somebody over the head and snuck out with it. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
So is this more of a lighter flavor? Or?
It is. It's based on the American Premium Lager style. So the beer itself is lagered. It's a lower malt, lower hop style of beer. By itself, it's pretty standard style. However, with the addition of the spices, we really turned it up a notch
Just
and
a
we
little
created
bit
a
of
very interesting beer.
flavor.
Exactly. It actually has the soup spice aroma to it, and we also add a blend of rice to it as well, and along to help with bring up the bring the flavor a little bit. Gives it a little more body and things like that.
Definitely very mellow. It's actually meant to be paired with Asian food.
Oh.
So when we start canning, actually that'll be the first beer that we can, and with the idea in mind that we want to have it out in some of the smaller, noodle places and pho places, maybe some sushi places
Right, so it's
that
available
have
on the menu?
Right, it'll be available on the menu as something other than the Tsingtao and the acai and the tiger, the
things that we're used
traditional
to seeing.
Asian lagers that people are used to seeing, giving them a craft beer option to go with their Asian food versus just
having such a great food base here in Denver. You always look at articles and people talk about foodies and people really loving the Denver scene for food, and I think we've come a long ways from just even a few years ago. Having a niche and having that style made for a certain genre of food, I think is huge here in the Denver market.
I think definitely so, because a lot of people, especially myself, don't understand a lot about the different types of beer and exactly what food to pair it with. So to have something like that available whenever you can ask about it and say what it would taste nicely with is always helpful. I think a great aspect is that you're actually canning it to have it sell, in different stores as well. I mean, it takes away from what we're used to seeing, the traditional Budweiser, Coors, etc., which most people are used to. I mean, growing up and everything, that's pretty much all I ever drank. I don't know much about craft beer. I didn't know what all was involved in going into the making of the process and why all their different colors and and the different taste factors as well. So I think it's very important that we kind of showcase that and get more knowledge out there so more people are available to try something interesting and new.
do you mind if we try it?
Of course.
Since you brought a little sample bar
Sure.
for us.
I've already got mine. We're
You've already got
You're
some.
good?
Oh,
All right.
Good for you.
How's she? Anyway.
I'm sneaky.
I guess so.
A unicorn.
She's a ninja. She's a ninja. Magical. You're pretty magical, Erin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You can.
I say that on camera.
All right.
We'll introduce you on the screen as magical.
Magical. Come by.
Can I make
Good.
Prost.
It's definitely got a very interesting smell to it and aroma.
do want
Really
this.
great too.
That's what I like about this beer is how the spices do sit well on top of a regular lager and add to the overall flavor experience.
It's a very light, airy type feel too. It's not a really heavy feeling.
Also, although some people might think this sacrilegious, I have found out that it makes some great sake bombs.
It's very true. Some amazing sake bombs.
Yeah, well, you never know
It's not-
until you start
I
experimenting.
mean, you know,
That's right.
technically sake is a fermented product, just
It
like
is.
beer, and it's closer to beer than other things. It's just with rice, so
Yep.
it's not really that sacrilegious. It's just like blending two beers together.
It's true. Some
like
people
a-
To
think
make a
that's
new
sacrilegious
movement,
too.
to make a new unique experience
Yep.
while you're enjoying
That's
craft
right.
beer.
That's right.
Yes.
I could see how this would go down very smoothly with, whatever you're eating, especially Asian food. Yeah,
It was
definitely.
created with pairing in mind, with what kind of beer would really be, it's unique and yet it goes well with food. Especially the flavorful, spicy, a little more salty, just flavors.
I do like the flavor of this a lot. And I just love the airiness of it, how it just doesn't feel very heavy going down and definitely with food.
Yeah. I can picture eating a nice bowl, not the stuff from the store, but a nice bowl of ramen.
Nice bowl. Well, gourmet ramen.
Yeah,
gourmet
ramen. Yeah, I have.
It's all about how you make it.
No, if you go to some higher end restaurants, you can get gourmet ramen that's delicious. This would be the perfect complement to it. So, right on, guys.
Very good. Cheers.
And Andrea, how's things going in Big Choice?
Things are going great. We're about to hit our 2-year mark coming up in May, so we're super
Congratulations.
excited about that. We've actually been canning since last March. We started with our flagship, a Disconnected Red, which is a hoppy red, which is phenomenal. It's got a great balance, as Danny was kind of referring to, that balance of the hops and the malts and stuff that we use. So then we canned. We just canned our Poblano Stout, which is, Poblanos tend to be a little sweeter. So we roast them and deseed them and put them in an oatmeal stout. And so no heat to it, great finish. It's a great cooking beer as well. So that one we're really super excited about. And it's in a green can coming up for St. Patrick's Day.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's a selling point in and of itself. So
Where will that one be available at?
It's out available now. We're in several stores up north. We're now getting into the South Denver market, trying to get into Parker and Colorado Springs and all that kind of stuff. So we're throughout. You go to the website and it has a full list of all the liquor stores
Places
that we're
where
at.
you can
Yep,
get it.
absolutely.
Yeah, the
So-
Poblano Stout is definitely one of my favorite chili beers, so to speak, because it's not spicy. Like, you actually can enjoy the flavor of the chili without it burning your face off, because a lot of the chili beers are just, they burn your mouth. and
Right.
The only thing they're really good for is making chili with.
Yes.
Although the Poblano Stout is also a nice addition to some chili.
Yes.
Why is that? That it's part of the brewing process. That actually.
Well, it's just the matter. It's what ingredient you put in. If you put the spicing part of the pepper in, then you're gonna get the spices. If you just use the flavorful part, depending on the type of pepper and amount used, right?
Correct. So
yeah.
we put we say 42 poblano peppers, and we do it in our secondary fermentation. So it's put in there, and we just let it sit until we're ready to serve it, and just gives the right amount of flavor to it, not overwhelming, overpowering. You know, I like the spicy beers too, but I cannot drink a full. I get indigestion. So that's the one. Like we were just talking about, it's a nice subtle beer with the flavor, but not the burn.
Right.
Which is really enjoyable.
Is it more of a lighter beer, or is it a
Stouts
heavier
are
Okay.
heavier. It's a little drier. I mean, to me, it's not a thick, really thick beer. It's still I guess on the lighter side of that, but it's a little more dry, a little more body than, of course, a light lager would be, and what you get from some of the lighter beers.
Nice.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
I never would have thought you could use so many different ingredients to create so many different flavors of beer. as
It's
well.
awesome. I mean, it's amazing what all the different breweries are doing and putting their own twist on things. And that's the fun part of our job is we can come up with whatever kind of stuff we want to do and put it in. And if it works, it's awesome. If not, we'll still drink it. It's good. You know, whatever. Right, exactly.
You'll learn the different
Generally
formula next
speaking.
time.
Yeah, it doesn't kill you.
I think there's a common theme that even today talking that there's a lot of trying new things and finding new frontiers and new beers. Inspiration comes from food.
Yeah.
A lot
Definitely.
of because of the fact that beer is a good pairable drink for a lot of people when they're eating, and I think a lot of that certain foods and ingredients really just make a beer pop. Whether it's wherever it's put into the process for the beer, really can make a difference and change the game.
Well, that's definitely
Yeah.
true. I mean, anytime if you go to, say, Buffalo Wild Wings and they only offer Budweiser and, all those sorts, it's not really always the great pairing that you desire. Sometimes it can completely make the taste of the food worse, and you don't even want to eat or drink the beer after
Well, and
that
I
point.
think places like that are learning too. And I mean, you have places like Colorado Plus and that appreciate and really, feature Colorado beer, and it's awesome. But then you get more and more people. Buffalo Wild Wings are getting into the craft beer because Colorado's so big on it. I think if you don't, you're missing out, and more people are drinking it.
Yeah.
I mean, which is great. That's the great thing is there's beer for everybody, and a lighter, flavorful beer that someone that has never drank craft beer before now can be introduced to that and not feel like, oh my God, this is so heavy, it's so much.
Yeah.
It's gradually bringing them in to then eventually enjoy a stout or a heavier beer. So
Definitely.
that's the
I
great
think
thing.
that's a great introduction level. That's exactly how I was introduced to craft beer. I was notorious for drinking Blue Moon, any Hefeweizen type beer, and so then whenever I was introduced to Colorado Plus and their plethora of knowledge here, it was very amazing to me to be able to experience so many different types of beers and be able to actually enjoy them all. I was so nervous, I was so afraid that, I'm out of my comfort zone, but it's really all of the brewing and that actually goes into it. It makes it definitely delicious. It's much more smooth and much more flavorful, which I definitely love. There's a lot that goes into the actual process of making beer that a lot of people don't understand or even could envision. How long have both of you been in this business, making and creating beer? Has it been something
My
along
husband,
the family line?
Well,
or?
so my husband grew up with his family brewing and doing wine and mead as well as beer, and so he grew up with that throughout his whole entire childhood. And then, his parents probably now 7, 8, 9 years ago wanted to start brewing again, but then they realized how much of work it is, and so they approached my husband and said, okay, well, if we give you the ingredients, can you brew a batch? You get half, we get half. And so my husband had never brewed on his own and actually got his education from, $3 in late fees at one of the local libraries and learned, picked up. I mean, but that's how he can read stuff and he picks up on things, and he's got that engineer kind of mind, which a lot of brewers have. And so anyway, he started brewing in our garage and fell in love with it and just was like, this is something that I could, picture doing for the rest of my life. And so him and one of his buddies kind of got together and decided to start working on opening up their own brewery. That was around 2008, and we opened in 2012. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's been fun. And I didn't get involved until right before we had to open, and because I was letting them kind of do it. I didn't necessarily know what I really wanted to do with it, but I'm a planner, so he didn't have anything planned for the opening, and so I was freaking out, and so I jumped in and I fell in love with it. It's an awesome community and an awesome business, and I just recently again brewed my first beer, and it was fun. I had an awesome time. I never would have thought I would have enjoyed that, and I love it.
So how long would you say the typical process for, let's say, this Asian lager beer? how long does that usually take to brew? The
It
full from
certainly,
complete
it certainly differs.
Okay.
If it's a lager,
Is
it's a
it-
lot longer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
it does
lager yeast
differentiate
requires,
between-
the lager
okay.
yeast requires more aging. There's different temperature phases it has to go through in order to process. So a lot of that has to do with the type of yeast that you use. With typical ales, it could take, usually 2-3 weeks or so, or even less sometimes. But yeah, lager is definitely a different kind of animal.
Lager, by the word, lager is defined as cold conditioning. Basically, the yeast itself does not thrive in a warmer environment. So with lagers, it really just, it's slow and steady. Basically, is how it ferments. The yeast really creates, we create the blend of ingredients, the wort with the hops, the flavors, everything else, and whatever spices. The yeast really makes it into beer. The yeast creates the alcohol and a little bit of CO2 depending on the beer, but the yeast really creates that beer and finishes it and makes it what it is that we drink now. The lager just takes a little bit longer because it takes a little more care. It's a lot more delicate style. You can't really hide off flavors. There's nowhere for it to go.
Right.
Certainly with bigger, bolder, hoppy beers, even if someone's just a hair off you, no one's going to ever notice it unless it's instruments. But with a lager, it's very naked.
Okay.
It is out there. There's your flavor. There's anything off of it in the process, you'll tell right away.
Wow.
Honestly, it's judged a little more harshly than any other style. It's a little more difficult to make, but I think we enjoy the challenge.
Is it more of a continuous thing? Do you have to? Is it something that just sits there and brews, or do you have to come in and check on it?
It does sit there and brew. The biggest thing is temperature control and just taste testing. A lot of it's sensory perception. We all make beers that we love to drink, and I think that's what it comes down to.
I think that's why like Colorado is, people say, oh, it's so saturated, and when is it going to hit that plateau and and the breaking point and so on and so forth. But everybody adds their own love and thing to that
flavor.
Yes, that you always have a variety. You guys have an IPA. Well, we have IPA, but our IPA is different than your IPA, and some people want ours on some days and some people want theirs on Sundays, and that's great. I think that's awesome. And it's like, we highly recommend when people come in and, they may like ours and that's great. And we highly recommend other breweries to go and visit because that's important and that's how our business works.
Creates a general sense of community.
Absolutely.
But that's why we also wanted you guys to come on together, just to show the community that we have in Colorado.
Yep.
And collaboration and all that kind of stuff.
I think it's unique to Colorado as well. I've heard from other brewers from other states that it's more cutthroat. So I think we're very blessed and very lucky here in Colorado to have such a community and to have, collaboration fest. We're all about that. We're like, hey, we can do this, let's get together, let's brew something, let's make it awesome.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the collaboration
this
festival.
This is the first collaboration festival in the nation that I'm aware of.
Oh, wow.
No other brewing groups in the nation has thought that, hey, let's make everybody work together. Well, you already work together anyway, so why not make a festival out of it? I think, to Betty's point, that's truly unique. One of the reasons we got into the industry was the people we met who always lent a hand. And I'm talking from the AC Golden Coors to Budweiser down to the guy who's in his garage. Everyone's willing to help out. I need advice. I need help. What am I doing wrong? I need a handful of ingredients.
God, I need 3 pounds of these hops right now.
I got it for you. I'll come over.
Right.
Yeah.
That willingness to help, I think
Camaraderie.
I've never seen that in another industry.
Right.
In the many industries I've worked with all my life, it's never been a thing.
It's true.
We're like the friendly neighbors, kind of borrow a cup of sugar. We're like, yeah, fine. When we're at festivals together, we like help each other set up tents if somebody's missing some CO2 or needs a tap handle or part, or their tent's blowing over. We'll all run over there.
Grabbing it for them.
Help them grab it, So, and that's very unique and it's very special. And I think that's why, there's a lot of so many new and up and coming breweries because they've sensed this camaraderie and this community that we are, and it's not a cutthroat industry.
Yeah.
And I think other industries, or even just other brewers in the nation, take notice a little bit, especially with this year the Craft Brewers Conference, which is an industry show. It starts on April 8th, basically, runs through that week, and that's here held in Denver. does change
Isn't that
venues of beer.
right before or right after the World Beer Cup, which is also
It's
being
during
held in-
it's actually during the World Beer
Okay,
Cup.
so yeah, they're coinciding at the same time.
Denver
so.
basically has the trifecta of brewing, U.S.-based brewing events, industry, general public, and judging, and it's international. All three are actually once U.S. American Beer Fest, but I think people are noticing that camaraderie when they come to Denver. We actually all the Colorado brewers, part of the Brewers Guild, got together and brewed a beer, Centennial Pale Ale, that was brewed at Oscar Blues Brewing, where 100 plus brewers showed up.
Yeah.
That was amazing just to see, and everyone was like hanging out, like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Hey, call me tomorrow. Hey, I'll come over and have a beer. And that kind of thing. We're all in it together. What's interesting is big or small. It doesn't really matter. It goes from your gigantic production facilities to us for brewing on 1 to 3 barrel systems. It doesn't matter. We're all here to have our own perception about beers and bring it out to the public. And I think that education, people see that friendliness, that like, oh, you guys work together. That's so cool. Hey, why don't you go to Big Choice? Go grab a drink, because you know what? I freaking love the Colorado stuff. So go have some of their beers. We tell people that all the time, like, oh, well, go try these guys.
The collaboration week is going to be the
22nd.
22nd March, the festival.
At the Curtis House.
Yeah, at the Curtis House during Colorado Craft Beer Week, which is the 21st to the 29th. You can get their collaboration beer there. It's also going to be on tap at Colorado Plus as well as in their tap room. So come on out and give them a try. Thank you guys for stopping by.
Cheers.
We're all
Thank
cheers.
you.
Enjoyed the talk.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm sitting here with Eugene. Eugene's actually the owner of Colorado Plus. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you allowing us to host our show here. Could you tell us a little bit about why you got into this business and how you opened up this place here?
Yeah, so it really started when I grew up here, and it started when I moved back here from Nevada, and I got my first job at my buddy's retail liquor store, and I was introduced to the whole plethora of the Colorado craft beer scene, and I was just really consumed by just the community, the culture, and just the support and just the passion behind it. And it was then that Jesse, my partner, and I talked about doing this. And growing up in a small business family, it's just and supporting local. And of course, with our head chef Jan and our bar manager Mike, we kind of brought this concept together about local food, local beer, and that's how it really happened. Just that kind of local Colorado pride, that keeping it local. And
So you do actually showcase a lot of different local brewers then here at your business.
Absolutely. At any given time, we represent about 32 to 36 local breweries on tap. Being Colorado, we do have about 150 breweries and brew pubs in Colorado. And the great thing is it's not so much of a competitive environment. It's more about every brewery really showcasing their passion and their desire to brew their favorite styles of beer. It's amazing. And which is why I'm grateful to have Adam as our head brewer as well. He's really experimenting with different styles. And as you heard from the previous interview with Danny, Betty, and Andrea from Big Choice, just the passion that they have to brew their styles of beer and incorporate their flavors and their love for the beer.
So is that another reason why you enjoy being in this business so much, is just the whole passion that's involved with it?
Absolutely. The passion, and actually my passion really started with wine. I actually went to wine certification school at Johnson & Wells, and so it went from wine and food pairing to beer and food pairing with me. And just that whole passion, just kind of followed my palate. And yeah.
How was that transition going from the wine to the actual beer?
It's really helped a lot. I've learned a lot in wine certification school. It taught me about the aromas, the senses, the nose, the mid palate, the finish, and they're two very different but almost similar crafts. People take a lot of pride in wine and beer making and all the different uses with barrel aging and crafting the flavor and aromatics.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we definitely will explore a little bit more about the wine aspect as well in future episodes. But tell me a little bit more about this place. You actually have an art gallery upstairs. Is that correct?
You know, we do. So Terry and Lance did help us remodel this building. It was a 44-year-old building, and it was in shambles. It was closed for 4 years. Carpet and it was in bad shape. So they helped us remodel, and then we kind of worked out a partnership where they would run their art gallery on the second floor. So it's been just a nice kind of cooperative, just a very collective project we've had, and it's been great. Kind of like how the Colorado craft beer industry is really.
So you actually, as you said, you have a chef that works here, so you offer a pretty full menu to accompany with the beer on tap.
Yeah, Jan is he takes a lot of pride. He's very passionate. A lot of our food is locally sourced. Our chicken, our bison, our beef is all from Colorado, as well as our lamb.
Interesting.
And, I actually know one of my buddies from Mongolia. He says, lamb's big over there, but Colorado lamb is some of the best. So yeah, we really showcase
I think it's very interesting that you try to incorporate as much local aspects as you can, even with the food aspect.
Yeah, it's very important, keeping it local. And, when we redo our menu at the end of March, our spring menu, we're going to focus more with local farmers. And local produce, so it's going to be fun. Absolutely.
Always supporting the local community.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. This is a wonderful place. More people need to come check it out. It's an excellent place, great people. The staff know what they're talking about. If you ever have any questions, they're more than helpful.
Want to say thank you to Caution and Big Choice Brewing for coming down to Colorado Plus for their interview today. Don't forget you can check out their collaboration beer here at Colorado Plus during Colorado Craft Beer Week and also at the Collaboration Fest March 22nd.
And I want to give a special thanks to Eugene from Colorado Plus for allowing us to be here today and interviewing such great people. I'm Bella Rage.
And I'm Erin Franklin Hutton.
Thanks for joining us for Craft Colorado.